the thing about disabled people.
That's a slippery one, John.
Don't say that word, John. You'll offend someone, John.
My roommate, he's a maniac.
That pink.
So we are here today with Timothy Blackwood, who directed Badmouth Grandma. That'll be showing at the Coconut Grove Film Festival. Timothy, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing today?
Thanks for having me, Katelyn. I'm doing great.
Awesome. Well, a happy new year to you. I thought that your film was so refreshing and hilarious. You were able to address cancel culture while still keeping it a comedy short film, and it was very enjoyable to watch. And in your director's statement, you had made a note that you wanted to poke fun at some of the negatives of cancel culture. So I was curious, when creating the story, was it more of a personal experience that led you to want to tell this, or was it something that you observed in the entertainment industry?
I think it's just something across culture, we're experiencing broadly across culture, you know? And so, yeah, I just saw this as like kind of an opportunity to make something that would be funny and, that we could laugh at.
Absolutely. I think you did a very nice job with that. Ironic as it may sound, did you actually face any pushback with telling this story on taking on cancel culture as a topic?
I haven't yet. I haven't as of yet. We're just submitting to film festivals. Actually, it was part of a competition that we did.
Okay.
It was a 2-week film competition. So we did this film, everything, in 2 weeks. They announced a prompt. The prompt was freedom dies unless it's used. And about 400 people participated in this competition called the CFC Challenge. And several hundred people get together on a rooftop, they announce the theme, and then you've got 2 weeks to write the script, cast the film, find your locations, get your crew, some of which you meet really at the meetup of like 200, 300 people on a rooftop. And then you have to make this and submit it, finish it, edit, color, sound design, everything within 2 weeks. So it was a fun challenge, and we had a lot of fun making it, and it was really well received by the challenge. Actually, we won a couple of awards for it, so people actually loved it. When they watched it, they really thought it was funny. And so far, the film's been just really good. It's had that kind of refreshing reaction that you mentioned. We screened it at the Anchorage International Film Festival a couple weeks ago to a pretty packed audience. Mostly above the age of 60, and they really liked it. We had a great Q&A, and they enjoyed it. So it's cool, it's cool like that people are enjoying it at a lot of different ages.
That is wonderful to hear. Now, creating this film in 2 weeks, a very short timeline, what was the biggest challenge that you faced?
It is a quick timeline. I mean, I was like, I should be a good enough filmmaker at this stage of my career to make something in 2 weeks. But the biggest challenge was I was probably like one person too short, like on the ground. It was like we did it at my apartment. We filmed it at my apartment mostly. And I had to transform the bedroom, and I had to like get a single bed because my bed's a queen bed. It takes up the whole room. It doesn't work for the movie. So just like the biggest challenge is like setting up IKEA furniture, I think, because I'm like so bad at that. It's like I would rather get up in front of 5,000 people and recite a poem than like put together an IKEA bed. It's like it just my brain short circuits, and but I was so lucky because I'm getting this IKEA bed, and I'm like it's like 11 o'clock at night. It's my birthday, and the bed's not together, the room isn't set up, the drapes aren't, nothing is designed yet, and we're supposed to shoot the next morning at like 8 a.m. And my brain's freaking out. I can't even take calls for happy birthday from my family. I got a big family, but luckily I met a woman named Maria Georgesian at this competition, and she showed up to my house at like 11 o'clock and helped me set everything up until like 2 a.m.
Oh, wow.
Like she just saved the day because I'm totally not, this is not my vibe, setting up like beds and doing puzzles and stuff like that. So she showed up and she helped out and she totally came through. And that's kind of the beauty of this challenge is you just meet people and in the last minute they show up for you and they kind of save your movie.
That's awesome that you were able
So
to find that support and still
yeah,
enjoy putting together this film. If you had a longer time frame to work on this story, what would you change about it, or would you leave it mostly the
yeah.
same?
Oh, such a good question. I think when you're under a quick deadline, it forces your creativity.
Hmm.
And so I'm really thankful that we could just make something in a couple weeks and that people are enjoying it and I didn't have to spend years of my life on it like the other projects I do, which are also really fun and rewarding, but they're the time commitment's huge. So the thing I would change is, and you're always thinking about, hey, what could I do to make this better? Is the thing that I would change about the movie is
Hmm.
I had initially wrote the script where the grandma, when she says, I escaped from a Siberian prison camp, she actually gets her hands cut off and then has these hooks. Yeah, and she's like, I escaped from Siberian prison camp, and she holds up these hooks, and she's like, you do what you want to do, you know. It's supposed to like it was supposed to be this really funny moment, and the actor we shot virtually, and she had to put these hooks together and everything. It was like, and her like husband was filming her, and she like can't move the cookies because of the hooks, and it was like really funny, but it didn't really work for the movie. And so what I would change about that is I think I would like have her like take the hook and like pull
Hmm.
herself out of the computer, you know, and then she'd like come into the grandson's room and she would be there with the hooks.
That would be really cool. That's a very
Hmm.
interesting
Uh,
little bit of a shift in the storyline.
and then she'd be there and she just, you know, it'd be kind of like he's imagining this, but it's like almost like the memory of his grandma, but it would make more sense because when we filmed it, the hooks are so small that they just didn't register. It was confusing in the edit. It
Gotcha.
was like being more confusing. It was slowing the plot down. That's what happens when the audience gets confused. It slows things down. They get confused, and then they're missing other things that they need. And so, just by virtue of the screen being so small, because he video calls her, the hooks weren't landing. They weren't landing. They weren't landing. So, I would like to have gone like taken it to a whole nother dimension, like really surprise the audience even more. Um, but who knows? Maybe that. I like to think that it would work, but you don't really know. You
You
know,
never know unless you go
you
back,
never
try,
know.
re-edit.
Yeah, you just
And
have to continually try. Comedies like that, you know, you not everything you write down is going to be funny. Not everything that the actors improvise are going to be funny. It's just you have to figure out, hey, how can we get the best possible combination of all these things and really keep the story moving forward and keep it moving quickly.
absolutely. Was there any portion of the film that you let the actor take a little bit more creative freedom and improvise on?
Yeah, yeah. Joe Burke he's a very talented actor. He's also a very talented filmmaker. And so he was a big part of the creative process, very generous collaborator on this project. And he likes to improvise. That's what he did at first. He improvised on
Okay.
everything. And then certain things we kind of came back more towards the script. Um, but yeah, we tried out all different types of ways. And then I actually act as his roommate.
Right.
So, and I certainly wasn't going by the script all the time either. You know, we were just trying stuff out.
And so with improvising in that part of the process, is it just doing a couple takes and seeing what flows best later on when you're editing, or is it more in the moment you're kind of receiving what is going to catch well with the audience or what is not?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. You know, there's an
Hmm.
intention stated in the script of a character arc and funny, ironic things that happens to this character, and each little thing needs to build on itself. And so you don't want it to drag out too long. And sometimes improvising can do that, particularly for like a short film, because you just don't have the real estate. You know, this film is like this film's like a scene for a movie. That's how long, like it's 5 minutes long, right? 5.5 minutes long.
Right.
Like some scenes in movies are twice as long as this, or sequences are longer or more long, excuse me. So you have to make sure it keeps going, but then you have to kind of vibe it on the day and see, how do the actors respond to one another, and maybe something more organic comes out of that, you know?
Yeah,
So that was pretty much it.
that's awesome. How did you enjoy playing the roommate?
I thought it was cool. It was actually the easiest part of this whole project. It was very easy to step into it. It was fun. I knew that I could embody that character, and so I
Hmm.
just kind of went for it. And and I think it worked. People say they like it, so
No,
it
the
was going
film
to be
was
too
very
hard.
enjoyable.
It was going to be too hard to get another actor, like the effort you have to go through to cast someone you have to like write the script and then immediately cast the film. So
Right.
when I knew that Joe Burke could do it, I'm like, we can make this film. Because I'd seen stuff Joe had done. He's a very talented guy. And I was like, if Joe agrees to do this, we're going to be able to make this story. Because he's the main actor and he revolves around him. And then I get to just come in and kind of have fun, you know? So that was the idea.
So, working on this project, clearly you had to be very flexible and change things and come up with decisions quickly. What from working in that short time frame do you hope to take into your next project, which hopefully will be a little bit more long form in terms of how much time you have to complete it?
Hmm. One thing that has been reinforced with this project and the last couple projects I've
Mhm.
done is the need to try things different ways for the edit. Because
Okay.
you can go into the story with your script, and it all makes great sense and it all flows wonderfully, and the structure's working, and it all works on the page. And you might be so certain about how a scene needs to be done and how a character needs to deliver something. And I think it's great to have certainty and confidence in that and vision. But sometimes it doesn't work. And so
Gotcha.
you have to check your own confidence. You have to say, "Hey, what's the most bizarre, crazy other way this could go that the character could say this line?" And try it and try that out, because that might be the thing that enhances the scene in the edit. So
Absolutely.
you have to be careful about, on the one hand, on the one hand, you need to have a really clear vision and confidence. That's what allows you to direct your actors and be able to go for an achieved target, achieved result. Sorry. That's what allows you to go for a desired result is having that clarity of vision and that confidence in the vision. Because then you can direct people, you can work with your crew, you know what you're going for, and clarity is important. And communicating in a clear way to people to convey that vision is really important. Because if you don't know what the hell you're doing, no one else is going to really know. You can't, it's your responsibility as the director to convey the vision in a clear, meaningful, beautiful way to people so that you can make something great, and they will have their ideas about what they can bring to achieving that. And maybe things will change kind of along the way, right? Because of their input, but you at least know what you're going for or have a clear sense of it. But at the same time, you need to be open to, doing things sometimes in a radically different way to enhance that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's really great insight that I think will work well with you on your next project. I want to touch on a past film you worked on,
Mm.
Infraction. And for those who are not familiar, it's based on a true story of an unlikely friendship between an inmate and a prison guard. And I'd have to say it's a bit different than Badmouth Grandma, a little bit more of a serious topic and a longer form story. So I was wondering, what was the transition to working on a short form with a short timeline and a comedy story after doing something like Infraction? What was that like for you?
It was really fun. I spent the better part of 4 years on infraction, and it's about a man that I really, really care about who called me from prison and asked me to tell a story about his wrongful incarceration, and then he eventually ended up getting out, and we were able to make this film and collaborate, make this film together. And that project, I felt a really intense responsibility to honor Terrence and to help him as my friend and to use my skills as a filmmaker to do something good. And the switch to make this film over a really short period of time was like, hey, what's it going to be like to just do something and be able to laugh and smile and like, like something that's just not so serious. I think like, have you ever met somebody and like, they're just so serious?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, dude, no joke I say works on this person. And like, I tried talking to them in this way and they just were like cold stone. Like, what is up with that? And I think that when you make serious work about people that have been wrongfully put in prison, or there's like work you're making about injustices and you're wanting to see something good happen, it's serious work. And sometimes it can make you, it's kind of hard. It's hard. It can wear on you in a way. And I think that's probably to be expected, but it's just nice to be able to make something to make people laugh and just make something really entertaining.
Absolutely.
That needs to exist as part of our culture too. We need to be able to have a variety of work and a variety of, artistry and creative pursuits that reflects a very diverse group of ideas, opinions, viewpoints. And when you have that diversity of ideas within the ecosystem of your culture, then you can get into dialogue about those ideas. And it's through that dialogue of mutual respect that you can develop new ideas. You can defend your ideas. You can realize whether you were wrong, and you can actually improve as an individual. And I think at large culturally. And so we need to be able to respect and have fun and laugh at things that we may not necessarily agree with and not take ourselves too seriously. We need that as part of our culture and not simply shut people down and say, no, you can't do that because it doesn't adhere to what my rigid viewpoint of the world is. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
that's what the film's about. That's why I made the film. It's like, we need to be able to do that to have a healthy culture.
Absolutely. And I think you conveyed that very well with Badmouth Grandma. I very much enjoyed watching it. I hope everyone at the festival does as well. But I want to thank you so much for your time today and taking the time to speak with us a little bit more about your film. And I hope you have a happy new year.
Have a happy new year. And it was so fun chatting with you. I can't wait to screen Badmouth Grandma in Miami at the Coconut Grove Film Festival. And I thank you for your time today.